Imagine this, a wedding that should have been filled with love and celebration, but instead, it turns into a deadly family reunion with secrets, lies, and more chaos than anyone could have ever imagined. Just when you think everything is under control, bam, a twist so insane, it'll leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about this family. This isn't just a wedding, it's a story of betrayal, revenge, and some seriously shocking moments. But before we dive into this wild ride, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Dropping a like and a comment is the least you can do to show some love. And like we always say, even if some stories seem the same, they ain't never the same when I'm the one telling them. The movie kicks off with Stephanie Smothers, a quirky mom in Capri, wearing an ankle bracelet. She's stuck at home, and clearly, it's not a vacation. Stephanie turns to the camera, her eyes wide like she's about to spill the wildest gossip. She's talking directly to her YouTube followers, like we're her best friends, explaining how she ended up on house arrest. You know, because life's just a little complicated when you're in deep with, well, everything. At first, it's all calm and innocent. She's just a mom, trying to keep up with her online cooking channel. But something's off. Maybe it's the way she says house arrest, like she's trying to make it sound fun, or maybe it's the way the camera zooms in just a bit too much. Spoiler alert, it's not fun. Since Stephanie exposed Emily Nelson, or was it Hope McLandon, for murdering her dad and twin sister, she's taken the true crime world by storm. Now she's got a vlog called A Pinch of Murder, and let's just say, she's killing it. She's also made a ton of cash with her book, The Faceless Blonde, about all the chaos with Emily. But not everyone is loving the spotlight. Her son Miles is over it. He's totally embarrassed by all the attention, and it gets weirder. There's this swim coach Stephanie looked into who was accused of being a creep and then shot himself in front of her. But oh wait, he might have been innocent. Awkward. So she drops Miles off at camp with her friend Darren and his daughter tagging along. Because nothing says goodbye, kid, like a little mystery and a road trip. Stephanie's at a book signing, looking all glamorous with her assistant Vicky and her mom friends, Sona and Stacy, by her side. Everything's going smoothly until Detective Ben Somerville walks in like he's got some bad news. But of course, Vicky, being the pro she is, pulls Stephanie right into her book reading before Ben can spill anything important. Then, the plot thickens. In the middle of her reading, the crowd is shaken up by none other than Emily. Yep, that Emily, the one who's made Stephanie's life a living soap opera. She strolls in, all smug, and starts mocking Stephanie about her book sales. And, just for fun, she invites Stephanie to be her maid of honor at her upcoming wedding in Capri. Because why not add more chaos, right? Stephanie's stuck though. Either she goes, or Emily will sue her for using her face in the book. So, guess who's getting an invite to a wedding that promises to be nothing short of a disaster? Stephanie and Vicky hop on a plane, surrounded by fancy people on their way to the wedding. It's all a little too rich and famous for her taste, and Emily's got one rule: no phones, no pictures. Stephanie's just trying to survive the flight when Emily pulls her aside and invites her into her room. There, she drops the bomb. She's marrying Dante Versano, an Italian guy from a super rich family. Oh, and by the way, they used to date and just reconnected. Because why not stir up a little more drama before the big day? They finally land in Capri, and things get even weirder. Stephanie and Emily bump into Emily's ex-husband, Sean Townsend, who's already drunk and bitter. He's complaining about being forced to bring their son Nikki to the wedding like it's some kind of punishment. Sean's mood is basically ruined, and his poor kid, Nikki, is just along for the ride. Stephanie, being the professional she is, tries to film some content for her channel. But surprise, a bunch of guys with guns immediately show up. Yikes. Just as things are about to go off the rails, Emily runs in, looking like she's been here before. Turns out, the Versano family is deep in mob business, and they're not alone. The Bartolos, another mob family, is in the mix. Their son, Matteo, isn't exactly friendly. He orders Stephanie to wipe her phone like it's no big deal. But Emily and Dante quickly step in to calm things down, because of course, nothing's ever simple. Finally, they introduce Stephanie to Dante's frosty mother, Portia, who clearly doesn't have time for anyone, especially not Stephanie. Welcome to the family, right? At lunch, Emily's face falls when she sees her mom, Margaret, and her sister Linda walk in. Portia invited them, and Emily is not happy about it. Margaret doesn't waste a second. She calls her own daughter evil, and then does the same to poor Nikki when she meets him. Ouch. Things get even worse when Sean, still drunk, starts ranting about how everyone has ruined his life. He blames both Stephanie and Emily for everything going wrong and declares he's fighting for full custody of Nikki. Because of course, that's exactly what this family needed. More drama. Later that night, Sean is in the shower, just minding his business, when an unknown figure sneaks in and injects something into his finger. Seconds later, Sean starts bleeding from every single part of his body like it's some kind of horror show. He crashes through the shower door, looking like a nightmare. Meanwhile, Stephanie meets Emily by the pool, but things take a dark turn when she heads back to the hotel. There, she finds Nikki knocking on Sean's door. Stephanie tells him to call the housekeeper, and when they open the door, yep, they find Sean's body. Looks like someone's got a big problem on their hands. Stephanie starts to think Emily might be behind everything, so she decides to follow her through the streets. But then, she spots someone she knows from the States getting way too close to Emily. She stops trailing Emily and turns to confront the woman. Turns out, it's FBI agent Irene Walker. She admits she's doing a horrible job at tailing Stephanie, but she does have something interesting to show. Irene pulls out surveillance photos of Aunt Linda meeting with a woman who might be Emily. They have to act normal when Dante suddenly appears on the street, giving them the perfect excuse to stop talking. Later, Stephanie calls up Detective Somerville, asking him to look into Linda. When she gets back to the hotel, she overhears Dante and Matteo getting into a heated argument. Oh boy, it's starting to feel like everyone is hiding something. Emily and Dante finally tie the knot, and guess who gets the honor of walking Emily down the aisle? Yep, Stephanie. During the reception, she gives a speech, but let's just say it's not your typical wedding toast. She gets a little tipsy and drops a hint about Emily possibly being involved in Sean's murder, because nothing says celebration like a little crime drama. Outside, Stephanie follows Dante, who's acting all sneaky. She watches as he's confronted by someone we can't see, and boom, Dante gets shot twice. He falls backward into a shed packed with fireworks. Cue the explosion. Portia, Dante's mom, is totally crushed by the loss of her son, and just like that, everyone turns their attention to Stephanie. You know, because she's always in the middle of the mess. Stephanie finds herself under house arrest, stuck with nothing to do but wait. Then, she gets a phone call from Darren, who tells her that Miles has been kicked out of summer camp for stealing a boat and going on a joyride, all because he was dared by other kids. It's just another thing to add to her list of problems. Then, things take an even weirder turn when Emily visits her. Only wait a second. This isn't Emily at all. It's Charity, the McLandon triplet that was supposed to be dead. Stephanie quickly realizes the truth. Charity grabs a knife and cuts her hand, then puts it in Stephanie's hands, making it look like she's the one who's dangerous. The authorities outside buy it, and now they think Stephanie's the threat. But then, Irene shows up with a plan. She secretly arranges for a housekeeper to help sneak Stephanie out of the hotel. Before leaving, Stephanie stops by Margaret's room. Margaret admits she knew something was off. She's figured out that Charity is alive and well, and Linda, her own sister, is a con artist who faked Charity's death and raised her as her own. Outside the hotel, Stephanie calls up Detective Somerville, who drops a bombshell. He tells her that Linda is dangerous and has been tied to the deaths of many men. It's starting to feel like no one is who they say they are. Somerville arranges for Stephanie to meet Irene, hoping they can figure out a way to get her out of this mess. But before they can make a move, Charity shows up and stabs Irene in the back. Once again, it looks like Stephanie is the one responsible. Police swarm the area, and before Stephanie can even explain, she gets knocked out by a needle. While all of this chaos is happening, Linda slips into Margaret's room. She doesn't waste any time and smothers Margaret with a pillow, all because Margaret had the nerve to talk to Stephanie. It's like the drama never ends, and it's getting darker by the second. Stephanie wakes up, only to find herself face to face with Portia, who's ready to get some answers. Portia decides to inject Stephanie with a truth serum, hoping she'll confess to Dante's murder. But instead of spilling the beans, Stephanie just gets super high. When Portia grills her about Dante's death, all Stephanie can say is that she feels guilty for thinking the swim coach might have been innocent after all. Not exactly the confession Portia was hoping for. Frustrated and done with the game, Portia orders her goons to kill Stephanie. Just as they're about to carry out their orders, the lights suddenly go out. The next thing Stephanie knows, the two men are knocked out cold, and out of nowhere, Emily appears to save her. Talk about a plot twist. After making their escape, Emily and Stephanie steal a Vespa and head to a private spot to talk. Emily spills the beans, revealing that Linda had threatened to expose her marriage to Dante as a sham, saying she was just a cover for Dante's secret relationship with Matteo. When Emily refused to let Linda in on the scheme, Linda turned to Charity. Charity drugged Emily, pretended to be her, and even had a weird, creepy crush on her. Emily wants to get out of Capri with Stephanie and Nikki, but Stephanie is determined to expose Linda and Charity for what they've done. Just as they're making plans, they get a video call from Charity. She's holding Nikki hostage, and they're dangerously close to the edge of a cliff near the hotel. This is about to get even crazier. Stephanie and Emily rush to save Nikki, who's been drugged by Linda and is being held at gunpoint. Linda's plan is to frame Stephanie for Nikki's murder, and then have Emily take the credit for killing Stephanie, so Emily can finally be accepted by the Versanos as revenge for Dante's death. But things take a twist when Charity realizes Linda's going to kill Emily Emily too. She steps in, stopping Linda and freeing Nikki. Nikki, in a surprising move, uses his toy drone to fly it straight into Linda's face. This gives Charity the chance she needs. She grabs the gun, shoots Linda in the chest, and pushes her off a cliff to her death. But just when Charity plans to shoot Stephanie, Emily steps in. She appeals to Charity's love for her, giving Stephanie just enough time to grab the gun. The tables have turned. Emily convinces Charity to take the fall for all the murders and go back to jail in her place. Charity, now left to deal with the consequences, agrees to take the blame so Emily can finally be free. Meanwhile, Stephanie returns home with her name cleared and starts working on her next book. One day, she gets a call from Emily. Emily asks Stephanie to look after Nikki for a while, and Stephanie agrees, even though Nikki's with Miles and Darren's daughter Lulu. Emily promises she'll see him again soon. Stephanie is ready to step in, not just as a writer, but as someone trying to piece together her own messy story. Emily is then visited by Portia, who reveals that she knows Emily was innocent all along and that her marriage to Dante was just for show. Portia calmly tells Emily she knew the truth all this time and still wants her in the family. Emily reassures Portia, saying that she always cared for Dante like a friend, not a husband. Portia smiles and hands Emily an envelope with rings inside. She asks for a simple favor from Emily, which Emily agrees to, knowing that some things in this twisted world come with unexpected requests. What would you do if you were Emily, trapped in a deadly wedding full of dark secrets and family drama? Would you risk it all to expose the truth, or would you play it safe and let everything fall apart? Drop a like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I want to know how you'd handle this wild roller coaster of lies and betrayal.